Hey all, welcome back to Awful Stories. I'm Matt, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe for daily videos. The first story we're going to cover is titled, My Boyfriend Wants Me to Conform to His Lifestyle. This was posted to the relationship subreddit by a user named Southern Boss. My boyfriend has a really big issue at the moment about my job and the hours I work because, and I quote, they don't suit my life. For context, I work in healthcare, and my shifts are 12 hours, 2 or 3 shifts a week. I have worked these shifts for as long as I've been with him, which is over 3 years, and up until now, it has never really been a problem. He also works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Recently, he has been on my case about reducing my hours to a regular 9 to 5 shift and telling me that if my company can't adjust my schedule, then I must look for another job because he needs me to be home at a decent time. His reasoning for needing me home at a normal time is that he has to wait until I get home to have dinner. And when I'm not home, the dog doesn't get walked until late. Therefore, I'm neglecting the dog. And he gets annoyed that I have to leave again to walk the dog. Our dog gets walked twice a day by me. And if I'm at work, gets a visit during the day for a toilet break and snack before my partner gets home at 5. He says it's not fair that he has to sit around bored waiting for me to come home. So I need to make a change, because if not, he won't be staying and putting up with it. I've tried explaining that it's only a few evenings a week that I'm not there. I've prepped dinners, so all he has to do is cook them. And I've told him I'm happy to reheat mine when I get home. But he can't be arsed. And I inevitably end up cooking for us when I get home. I've suggested he can take the dog for a nice walk before I finish if he's that bored, meaning I could spend more time with him. But he won't do it because your dog's not trained and pulls. However, he hasn't walked the dog in forever and won't accept that he doesn't pull anymore. I feel like I'm offering solutions to his predicament, but I am met with excuses. I told him that if he helps me, it ends up helping him. This is just one issue of many he has at the moment. He is becoming completely overwhelming with his ADHD, which he isn't taking anything for, and refuses to see a doctor about. He puts time schedules on everything, on himself just as much as on me, and if something isn't done by a certain time, then his mood is dreadful. I'm pretty sure he also has some form of OCD, because God forbid anything gets left lying around. I find work to be a distraction from my home and personal life at the moment, as my family is going through some difficult situations, and with me having to deal with my partner on top of that, I am really reluctant to reduce my hours. On one hand, I'm tempted to try and change them to stop him complaining, even if it means I lose money. On the other hand, I'm like, forget him. If he wants to break up over a few hours of work, then he can leave. And the whole situation is seriously draining me. I can't figure out if he's just being controlling or whether he genuinely does want me home to be together. What should I do? And how can I cope with his current fixation? Firefly said, I don't understand why he can't feed himself. Why can't he walk the dog? It sounds like he's angry that his live in maid is not providing the expected service. After a 12-hour shift, may I suggest that you stop doing that? Stop cooking. Just make yourself a sandwich. Pirate Pixie said, why is he not cooking his own dinners or looking after the dog? He can't be bothered to cook dinner for himself? Is he 12? Are you his mother? Why are you allowing him to treat you this way? Break up with him, take the dog, since you do all the work anyway, and get rid of the dead weight. LGRN said, so, because he has no life, you need to change yours to babysit him? He can't manage to walk a dog, make or eat dinner, or entertain himself 3 times a week. Is he actually a 5-year-old child because he's acting like one? The reality is that he will never become independent because he doesn't want to be. At 35, he's going to be set in his ways. His lack of respect for you is evident. Are you sure this is the person you want to commit the rest of your life to? The second story for today is titled, My Husband is Secretly Cross-Dressing, and was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a user named Mary B. Today I found out my husband has been cross-dressing, wearing silicone breasts and lingerie, and taking pictures with sex toys to share online. We've been married for 9 years and together for 15. He says he's been doing this since before we met, and this is the first time he's ever talked to me about it. Many years ago, I found a photo on his phone of his butt in black lingerie. When I confronted him about it, he laughed it off as a joke. Several years later, I found another photo as I was clearing his deleted photos folder, but it disappeared before I could get a close look. He said it was a screenshot from porn, and I don't really care if he looks at porn. Then I found a couple of wigs in our bedroom. He said he bought them for me to roleplay. I am not kink shaming, but it's not my thing. Today I found an email address on his phone that said discreet woman's name, and I was able to hack into it and follow some digital breadcrumbs. He had an account on a website that does live cams, but he was one of the performers. I put two and two together and confronted him. There's been a backpack in his car trunk that I noticed a long time ago, but he hides presents and surprises for me in his trunk. So I thought that's what it was. An Amazon account with his female named email address showed that exact backpack. So I opened it and found lingerie, women's clothing, silicone breasts, a dildo, and condoms. He told me he's been posing for photos on these websites, but that no one sees his face. He says he makes a couple of $100s a month doing this. But here's the thing, he makes really good money, almost $200,000 a year. So it's obviously not about the money, it's about gratification. And why would he need condoms for these photos or webcams? I feel like I'm not getting the full story, especially because he's been keeping this from me for almost 15 years. He's a wonderful man, kind, caring, and an amazing father to our young children. I can't just break up with him or divorce him. We have a family. Also, I'm very open minded and pro LGBT, and not the kind of person who would be morally offended by a man cross dressing. So, why couldn't he be honest with me? How do you deal with it when you find out your partner has been keeping such a big secret for so long? What do I do? Honestly, I really feel for OP here. Finding out something this personal and foundational about a partner, especially after years of marriage, has to feel like the ground shifting under your feet. OP's mix of shock, confusion, and betrayal. Completely normal. When you share your life with someone, you expect honesty, especially about things that shape who they are and how they relate to you. It's tough because cross dressing, for a lot of people, is wrapped up in vulnerability and shame. The secrecy isn't about not loving OP, it's about fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of not being understood, maybe even self judgment that gets projected onto their marriage. It doesn't make hiding it okay, but it gives some context for why a secret like this could sit in the dark for so long. If I'm sharing my honest thoughts, I think OP is staring at one of those make or break crossroads. This revelation doesn't just raise questions about cross dressing, it digs up every issue of trust and communication along the way. Moving forward means a whole lot of talking, listening, and negotiating what both people can handle in this new reality. Boundaries and comfort zones are absolutely valid. OP shouldn't feel like she has to immediately be okay with everything. But part of the process might also be trying to understand where her husband's coming from. If I were in her shoes, I'd probably be considering couples counseling, not as a fix all, but as a neutral space to process the shock, ask the real questions, and figure out if and how trust can be rebuilt. There's no quick and easy answer, but if there's still love on both sides, it might just be the beginning of a deeper, if very difficult, kind of honesty. One thing's for sure, OP isn't alone in feeling these things, even if right now it probably feels like the loneliest place in the world. The Schwartz commented, "Oh, honey, I would suggest trying couples counseling. Explain with the help of a therapist that while you still love him, you are concerned and your trust has been broken, and that he needs to take specific steps to start rebuilding that trust. I am not entirely sure what those steps should be, but therapy would be a good place to start, with an unbiased third party professional mediating and helping you both along the way." Paladin said, "There's nothing wrong with the things he's doing, but there is absolutely something wrong with hiding it from you. I've always believed that the definition of cheating is any promiscuous activity that one actively hides from their partner. The fact that he lied to you, hid it from you, and committed himself to you while doing these things is awful. It's great that you say he's a wonderful man and a great father, and I'm sure he is. So I have one question. Does he seem legitimately guilty or remorseful about this obvious breach of your trust?" To this, OP said, "Thank you for your very thoughtful reply. I agree that there is nothing wrong with cross dressing or webcam and photo websites, but lying to me for 15 years is a huge betrayal. He does seem legitimately remorseful about lying to me. He is not remorseful at all about doing it, but he has been very apologetic about keeping it from me. I'm not sure if he's only sorry that he got caught, though. He could have come clean in the past and chose not to." This third and final story is titled, "Boyfriend Keeps Accidentally Hurting Me, and I'm Scared It Will Happen Again," and was also posted to the relationship advice subreddit by a user named But Alovia. A few days ago, my boyfriend, 29M, shook my head quite suddenly to give me a forehead kiss, and I ended up with a mild concussion, dizzy, nauseated, headache, etc. I think it was completely accidental. But this is not the first time something like this has happened in our almost 4 year relationship. A hug once cracked my rib. A playful bump made my nose ache for months. Random moments of affection somehow leave me bruised or recovering for days. He is never angry or aggressive. He just gets intense with physical closeness and seems to forget that my body is more fragile, especially since I found out about my osteoporosis. What scares me is that he is not clumsy with anyone else, only me. I have talked to him before, and he listened eventually. Things did improve for a while, yet every so often there is another injury. We do not live together, which gives me some breathing room, although it also means nothing ever really gets solved. I'm starting to tense up every time he reaches for me. I have not even told him yet about the concussion symptoms because I feel too overwhelmed. I am a childhood abuse survivor, which probably adds another layer to all this. I love him. I believe he never means to hurt me. Still, I am anxious and tired of being the one who is in pain. How do I bring this up again in a way he will truly understand? At what point does he didn't mean to stop being enough? Any outside perspective would really help. Pilota said, "Is your boyfriend Lenny from Of Mice and Men? The force required to crack your ribs and cause a concussion is not minimal, nor is it something I could ever imagine as accidental." Curious Reference commented, "I'm sorry, but no one repeatedly and accidentally harms just one person over and over again. If this really were accidental on his part, then he would do it to other people. His friends would joke about how no one should ever accept a hug from him. For example, he would have had multiple people talking to him about this issue and asking him to work on it. But that hasn't happened. The only person he ever hurts is you, a woman with a disability. From the outside, it reads like a covert form of abuse and control. You're scared of him, yet you don't feel you can leave or want to leave because he has convinced you that he just can't help repeatedly harming you. He's choosing to hurt you and benefiting from seeing your pain and getting away with it beyond this excuse of, I can't control my own strength. I once went out with a man who was 6'7" and watched him wrench open a deadlocked metal door without much effort to save a dog from a fire. Despite his incredible strength and size, he never once hurt me. If he really cared about hurting you, he would do everything in his power to make sure it never happened again. And he's not doing that, is he? Which means he is choosing to harm you.